Hey guys, Axel here and welcome to ATech Reviews. Today's video is going to be about the SIMGOT EW300, an impressive IM. I want to give my take on it. I want to let you guys know what I think. And then I'll compare it to the Kefine Delci EA500 LM and maybe the Duno Titan S2 quickly. So let's begin. So this is the box that comes with the EW300. This is the standard edition. There is an HBB edition which is slightly more, $5 more I think, and it's black in color, which is important. I will tell you why now. And there is a DSP version that comes with a USB-C cable and allows you to change a few options in the DSP app. I have not tried the DSP version or the HBB version. I have the standard version. So in terms of accessories, what comes is this nice carrying case, and when you open it you're going to get 3 pairs of like silicone ear tips. You get 2 gold tuning nozzles, and you get like these O-rings that you use on the nozzles, like you can see the color, the purple one. And you get a few small foam that you can put inside the nozzle, like to dampen like the upper mid-range if you feel it's a bit too much. So that's probably it. We have the same, almost the same, I'm not sure if it's exactly the same. This is the cable of the EA500, and this is the cable of the EW300. A nice cable, doesn't tangle to me, it doesn't have any memory, it's nice, comfortable, soft, and so on. And this is the EW300. Let me take them out. Now, the standard edition, which is this mirror-like finish, is a bit of a fingerprint magnet, and you can see that on the left side, and probably could be prone to scratching, so you might want to take care of it. The black versions, the HBB and the DSP versions, don't have that, so they have like a textured matte finish. So maybe this is something you have to keep in mind. Anyway, I think they look awesome. I'll post the nozzle diameter. Fit and comfort is great. It fits in my ears perfectly, and I have no issues with it. Now, about the sound, let's start with the sound description. These are actually very impressive. The tonality is very pleasing, and it has a warm, neutral type of presentation. Yes, it's a bit neutral, but definitely leaning on the warm side. There's a good amount of bass with a fantastic sub-bass rumble. It rumbles hard, and the mid-bass itself hits with a very powerful slam when the track calls for it. The bass overall is very balanced. It has a nice amount of texture to it. It's very detailed. It's a clean bass shelf as well. You know, like minimal bass bleed that adds a bit of warmth to the lower mid-range. And the lower mid-range to me sounds full, sounds rich, sounds like full-bodied with a slightly thick type of note weight. In terms of the male vocals, I kind of felt that they needed just a slight touch to make them stand out, pop out more, but they're not exactly like muddy or anything. It's not muddy and it's not like veiled or anything like that, but clear, defined, spacious, rich, and full. But for some people, I know they will prefer like maybe a bit more clarity in the lower mid-range. That's what I felt with it, slightly thick. In terms of the female vocals and the upper mid-range, again, an excellent type of tuning. It doesn't go into the shouty region at all, and I'm super happy with this new direction that SIMGOT is taking. No longer are we going for bright type of tuning. We're getting more a balanced type of tuning, slightly less spin again. Again, a very welcome type of tuning. I like that. It has a lot of spaciousness in the female vocals. Instruments kind of have a great separation. There is more clarity, but it's still a very forward type of vocal presentation, or a very forward mid-range without being shouty. So a lot of the instruments are forward. A lot of the female vocals specifically are forward, and like the instruments like the cello and violins and even pianos and stuff like that have their natural timbre, their full-bodied presentation. Acoustic guitars retain that type of sound, which makes it an overall like natural type of mid-range. In terms of the treble, after the bass, this is the second best part that I like about the treble of the EW300, is because it is very detailed and sharply defined. Not sharp in a harsh way, but the notes are like, you know, like carved. You kind of feel that it has a very good clarity, very good definition. It's distinct and kind of like separate from the music. Things are incisive. That's how I would describe them. Transients are fast as well. The attacks and everything like that. And that treble presentation helps a lot with the imaging. The imaging is fantastic, specifically the high frequencies. Like you can hear the left and right sounds specifically on many, like, let's say, for example, EDM tracks, hip hop tracks. These high frequency sounds come from the left and right side, which sounds great. And this is one of those IMs that have a good soundstage. There is a good sense of space and things come in, from a distance, not like far away, but there is an element of space around the instruments and around the vocals, which kind of like allows the vocals and instruments kind of to breathe a bit. So definitely a great type of sound. Level of detail, I would say it's right for the price. It's not like, a hyper detailed IM, but definitely detailed, definitely good levels of detail with a bit of a warmth on top. Now, let's talk about the nozzle. Now, when I tried the gold nozzle, it's not exactly my favorite, and I will explain why. The sound became a bit more warm than usual, than my preference, and it kind of like the resolution started to take a hit. The upper mid-range started to feel a bit relaxed. The vocals kind of feel a bit slightly covered for my taste. I'm just saying my experience, my ears. With the gold nozzle, the vocals kind of feel a bit covered or a bit laid back, slightly distant. Not exactly the signature I'm going for. I like the clarity that the silver nozzle offers. Another thing is that the bass increased. And you notice that again with like hip hop and EDM, where the bass starts to feel more pronounced, even the sub bass. So, for some people, they could use that. With rock and metal, it kind of became more pleasing. It kind of became a bit more relaxed. You can listen to potentially harsh genres of music. But for my taste, I prefer the silver nozzle a lot. Definitely has the clarity that I need. And the overall tonality is very smooth. And as I said, slightly warm, which makes it fantastic. No shoutiness, by the way. I never experienced any shoutiness with it. And I never experienced any sibilance with it. So, definitely great tuning right here. Let's start with the comparison with the Kifine Delci. Both of them have a very similar tonality, okay? The biggest differences, like these differences, I had to squeeze my brain a bit because they are a bit similar. They are a bit close. I will describe the differences now. The sub bass on the Kifine Delci slightly rumbles harder. Like, let's say it rumbles easily. When you listen to the tracks, you notice it rumbles with the slightest provocation more. Whereas the mid bass of the EW300 had a stronger punch, definitely a stronger slam and attack to it, which made the mid bass more pronounced on the EW300. Again, these are slight differences. If you blindfold me and put them in my ears and ask me like which one, focus on the bass, and you told me like which one is which, I would probably not be able to easily tell them apart from the bass alone. The part that I would be able to tell them from is the treble. The treble of the EW300 is definitely a different quality, a higher quality, better quality. Again, it's more incisive, it's sharply defined, distinct, and it has an element of clarity that I did not find on the Kifine Delci. Another thing is the level of detail. Like the EW300 has, let's say, 10 to 20% more detail than the Kifine Delci. It's not a big difference, but it's definitely there when you compare them. And to me, like, it seems like maybe a slightly better option just because of the treble and the level of detail. That's something that is nice. For someone who owns the Kifine Delci, like, should they get the EW300? I would say, honestly, guys, it will be a minor upgrade. It will be an upgrade, but it will be a minor upgrade. You're going to get slightly more detail. You're going to get a better, higher quality treble presentation, and maybe a slightly punchier, more powerful mid-bass. But it's a minor upgrade, as I said, 10 to 20%, and, you guys kind of decide. But if you're going to buy one, you didn't get the Delci, and you want to buy one of them, I think the EW300 is a great option. Now, let's talk about the EA500 LM. Now, this is the comparison where things are, definitely different. I love the EA500 LM. The bass quality is top-notch, but it's a bit bright sounding to me. It could definitely, the upper mid-range could definitely get a bit too energetic, slightly shouty for my taste, and I cannot listen to it for a long time. It could be fatiguing. Whereas here, the EW300 fixes all of these things, but still, The EA500 is much more detailed. Like, I could pick that from the first second. I have to say that it's definitely still, the EA500 LM is definitely much more detailed. The imaging is much more precise. It's more cohesive as well. There is some magic going on for the EA500 LM. And the bass quality, while less, yes, the EW300 hits slams much harder. And the sub bass is much more, the rumble is much more on the EW300. I have to say that the quality and texture is definitely better on the EA500 LM. And, like, for me, I think it's like, I would say it like that. If you're seeking a warm type of tonality, something that is pleasing, something that's not fatiguing, something that you can definitely listen to all music genres with it, like even like me, rock and metal and stuff like that, but it will give you slightly less detail. I would say the EW300 is that warm type of sound signature. Whereas if you seek more detail and you want a brighter type of sound signature, but definitely much more detailed, it's noticeable, and you want better imaging, and you want slightly less bass but with a higher quality, better texture, I think the EA500 LM is going to give you that. In terms of comparison against the Duno Titan S2, I compare them. Like, the Duno Titan S2 is slightly more detailed than the EW300, comes with a modular cable, has better accessories, absolutely, but as I felt and I said in my review, the upper mid-range of the Duno Titan S2 could be a bit too energetic for my taste, or at least with my music sometimes. I feel the EW300 is just safe. It's just the safer option. It's a warm type of sound signature that is awesome, pleasing, non-fatiguing. You're going to listen to it all day long. You're not going to have issues. It's not as detailed as the Titan S2 or the EA500 LM, but it's a step up from the Kifine Delci. And it's overall a great IM. If you like bass, if you like a non-shouty upper mid-range, and you want an excellent treble presentation that's very, very clear, but it doesn't have a lot of the air. It could use a bit more air. It's not an airy type of sound signature, although it's a bit spacious. It doesn't have that air. But overall, a great, pleasing tonality. Gets a thumbs up and a recommendation from me. I like the new trend and the direction that SIMGOT is taking with this new IM, and I really hope we see more from SIMGOT with this type of tuning. This is a great tuning that's not offensive in any way, and that actually sounds great. The only thing, like, for example, I would wish that was done here, maybe if we see a better IM with a more detail, but like having the same type of sound. Another thing I will include quickly, I don't have the Super Mix 4 right now with me, but I want to say that it's a bit more detailed. But again, you can see even the bass shelf is cleaner, and this kind of removes the kind of thick sound I was talking about of the lower mid-range of the EW300, gives you a bit more vocal clarity. Absolutely. The Super Mix 4 is more technically capable and has a bit more vocal clarity. But depending on your tolerance and your taste, for someone like me, I felt that the upper mid-range of the Super Mix 4 was a bit too much for me. It was a bit too bright for my taste. Maybe for you it is not, and that's totally fine. And that's it, guys. That concludes our review of the EW300. Gets a recommendation from me. A great IM. At its price point, it's definitely competitive. And until then, I will catch you in the next one. Peace.